The top stories tonight in Y News. The presidential and vice presidential debates led by the Commission on Elections may kick off in March instead of this month.
The Department of Health says parental consent cannot be replaced when it comes to vaccinating children ages 5 to 11.
The OCTA research group says Metro Manila might see a return to its pre-Omicron surge numbers.
8 senators have signed a partial Senate Blue Ribbon Committee report on the formerly Pharmaceutical Corporation probe. Good evening, Philippines and the world. We are now reporting live from Quezon City. Today is Monday, February 7, 2022. I am Herlene Delgado.
Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I'm Angelo Castro III.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I am William Tino.
The presidential and vice presidential debates on the Commission on Elections would be pushed back next month. Meanwhile, the poll body has reminded all candidates to strictly observe the campaign rules, especially during this pandemic. Dante Almento reports why.
Comelec Education and Information Department Director Elisa David said that the Comelec organized debates may be slightly delayed to first week of March. The poll body recently disclosed the 3 back-to-back presidential and vice presidential debates would start on the last week of this month, March and April. Director David explained the ANBank has yet to approve the guidelines of the debates.
Meron po kaming guidelines na pinapa-approve sa ANBank. Hopefully this week ma-approve na po sila. At tuloy na po yan, although baka medyo maantala. Konti lang po yung sa first debate natin. Kung last week of February po siya dati, baka maging first week of March na muna po siya. So give us some more time po sa preparation.
Meanwhile, the campaign period for the May 9, 2022 automated national and local elections would start tomorrow, February 8 until May 7. National candidates in particular can already conduct campaign activities. Local candidates, meanwhile, may start to campaign on March 25. Thus, the Commission on Elections or Comelec reminds anew all candidates to strictly follow campaign rules, especially under the existing COVID-19 pandemic. Comelec Resolution 10732 provides guidelines for in-person campaigning, rallies, caucuses, political meeting or convention, motorcade and caravan, meeting the avance under the new normal. Based on the rules, candidates and participants of such campaign activities must observe the minimum public health standards.
Dahil nga po sa new normal tayo ngayon, hindi na po kagaya ng dati ang pangangampanya na sabi nga pag naisip ng kandidato, pwede lang din gawin. Ngayon may mga restrictions na nga po, gaya po ng mga in-person campaign.
During in-person campaigns, entering private dwellings, crowding, handshaking, hugs, kisses, taking selfies, photographs, among others, are prohibited. Distribution of food and drink and all other goods or items are also not allowed. In areas under alert level 4 and 5, in-person campaigning is prohibited.
But if you're alert level 3 or lower, then pwede na. Pag alert level 3, in-person campaigning, for example, a candidate or campaign leader may be accompanied by a maximum of 3 support staff. Whereas under level 2, that will be 5 support staff. Under alert level 1, which is basically normal, there will be no limit.
The conduct of meeting, convention, rally, meeting the avance, caucuses will be allowed up to 70% of the venue's capacity based on the alert level status. Motorcade and caravans must secure permit from the local government units as well as from the Comelec.
Yung pong application naman po is within 72 hours, kailangan na pong ma-actionan po nung Comelec campaign ko na responsible po to act on it.
E-rallies will also be allowed for the national candidates through an official social media page created by the Comelec. There are Comelec campaign committees in the regions, provinces, cities or municipalities in cooperation with the barangay officials and the armed forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police if necessary to implement these rules.
Ano yung trabaho ng campaign committees? The first and probably the most consequential thing that the CCC will do is to classify category levels. You're aware na meron na tayong level 1, 2, 3 system, no, ng IATF. We will be mirroring that with our own category levels for the purpose of deciding kung gaano kahigpit yung restrictions sa in-person campaigning.
The poll body has recently reminded that violation of the campaign rules would constitute election offense.
This may result in imprisonment of not less than 1 year, but not more than 6 years. It shall not be subject to probation. It can result also in disqualification to hold public office.
Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Senator Panfilo Lacson and Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte refuted allegations that they will pair up in the upcoming election. Meanwhile, presidential aspirants are now preparing for the campaign period, which will begin tomorrow, February 8th. Nel Marie Buhok reports.
Senator Panfilo Lacson shut down speculations that he will pair up with Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio in the 2022 national elections. Lacson said with due respect to Mayor Sara, he intends to stick it out with his partner Senate President Vicente Soto III. Senator Lacson believes Mayor Sara feels the same way about her running mate Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos. The senator reiterated his and Soto's commitment to uplift the lives of Filipinos, go after the thieves in the government. During an interview with Politiscoop, Leo de Guzman is determined to chase the ill-gotten wealth of Marcoses. He said the alleged multi-billion peso wealth will boost the budget for COVID-19 response.
Marami rin naman mga may decision na hindi pa lang maipatupad. Ay hindi, nagtataka rin ako kung bakit hindi maipatupad at para mabawi, ay ipatutupad na lang natin. At re-reviewin yung lahat ng desisyon, aalamin natin lahat ng kinuha sa framework ng ay nasa 10 billion yan, $10 billion. Ay kailangan nating mabawi yan.
Meanwhile, Manila Mayor Isko Moreno Dumagoso led the pediatric vaccination of age 5 to 11 in Manila Zoo. Moreno encourages parents to vaccinate their children.
So makinig tayo sa siyensya. Yung po ang tingnan natin. Wala pong masamang intensyon ang gobyerno na ilagay tayo sa alanganin.
Senator Manny Pacquiao led the groundbreaking of a community center of housing development project in Barangay Subang Daco, Mandawi City, Cebu. In a statement, Pacquiao said that he realized that it is impossible to address the country's housing problem without the direct support of the government. Building houses for the poor will be prioritized by the Pacquiao administration. Vice President Leni Robredo said her office will pause its COVID-19 programs pending the go signal from the Commission on Elections. The OVP earlier asked the poll body for an exemption to continue its mobile COVID testing, vaccination drive, and free online medical consultations during the campaign period. During an interview in Naga City, Robredo assures that they will exert their efforts so that the attribution won't be given to her as a candidate. Meanwhile, Bongbong Marcos conducted caravan in San Jose del Monte, Bulacan. This is also in preparation with the proclamation rally of BBM Sara Unity Team in Bulacan tomorrow. Aspiring senators under the slate of the Marcos-Duterte tandem are expected to attend the event. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, an international human rights group has launched an independent monitoring mission of the 2022 elections in the Philippines. Rosa Di Cos will tell us why.
To deter further violence and fraud during the Philippine elections this year, the International Coalition for Human Rights in the Philippines launched an International Observer Mission, or IOM. The IOM will be composed of foreign observers who will do independent monitoring from the campaign period on February 8 until the confirmation of elected candidates. The observers will be bringing record devices with them.
The international community has a responsibility to ensure, to act, act and also to ensure the safety of the opposition candidates, their supporters, all voters and election officers, if these elections and those elected are to have integrity.
The group stressed the need for such amid the worsening human rights situation under the Duterte administration.
The capacity to report to the international media is an important protection to highlight anything that's happening, and therefore hopefully restrain anything further happening. And of course, if an observer is present in a situation where there's victims and there are responses already, they can provide some kind of protective presence.
For Contradaya convener and journalism professor Danilo Arau, the International Observer Mission will help in protecting our democracy.
The International Observer Mission is much appreciated because it helps bring worldwide attention to what we are going through right now as we try to battle state-sponsored repression and maximize whatever limited opportunities there may be in the coming national and local elections.
Professor Arau mentioned the international observers may also visit election hotspots where there is fraud, corruption, and violence. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines, Philippine National Police, and the Philippine Coast Guard have adopted a joint legal cooperation against lawless groups as part of efforts to ensure peaceful and orderly elections. AFP Chief of Staff General Andres Centino, PNP Chief General Leonardo Carlos, and PCG Deputy Commandant for Operations Vice Admiral Eduardo Fabricante signed the Joint Letter Directive, or JLD, number 01-2022 during the Second Command Conference with the Commission on Elections in Camp Crame, Quezon City. In his message, Centino emphasized the AFP's marching orders from President Rodrigo Duterte, finish off the communist insurgency before the chief executive's term ends, and ensure the conduct of safe elections. The JLD aims to enhance coordination among signatory agencies in building up cases, investigation of crimes perpetrated by, and successful prosecution of leaders, members, and supporters of threat groups and their financiers. It also intends to guide the identification and disposition of surrendered, recovered, and confiscated firearms following the chain of custody. It will be implemented under the tripartite mechanism of the Joint Peace and Security Coordinating Center.
The prosecutor's office has dismissed several complaints such as administering of illegal drugs, perjury, reckless imprudence resulting to homicide filed against the companions of Christine Dacera, the flight attendant who was found dead in a hotel room last year. The prosecution found no probable cause to indict the respondents, including Romel Galido, JP de la Serna, Rafael de Guzman, among others. The complaint for falsification against Dr. Michael Nick Sarmiento, who made the autopsy of Dacera's remains, was also dismissed. Meanwhile, the DOJ prosecutor also denied the counter charges such as illegal detention, arbitrary detention, and unlawful arrest against the mother of the victim, Sharon Dacera, and several police officers. The prosecution said there was no evidence to prove that the complainants were forced to make untruthful statements in their affidavits, thus there was no grave coercion.
Several senators have already signed the partial Senate Blue Ribbon report on the Pharmaly issue. However, this is not enough to bring up the report to the plenary. Harleen Delgado will tell us why.
8 senators have signed a 113-page partial report of Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chairperson Richard Gordon on the investigation on the alleged questionable medical supply deals of the government. They include Senators Panfilo Lacson, Manny Pacquiao, Laila de Lima, Coco Pimentel, Francis Pangilinan, Franklin Drilon, and Risa Hontiveros. However, 11 signatures are needed from the 20 members of the committee for the report to be endorsed and sponsored in the plenary. Senator Grace Poe and Senate President Pro Tempore Ralph Recto earlier said that they were still studying the contents of the report. Gordon, in a press briefing last week, disclosed that some senators have reservations in signing the report because of the inclusion of President Duterte in the recommendations. The partial report recommended to consider the filing of charges against the president after his term due to supposed betrayal of public trust. Lacson also noted earlier that he signed the report, but with strong reservations on the said recommendation for the chief executive. Hontiveros is still hopeful that the report will be reported out and adopted by the Senate once session resumed on May 23.
Ang backer di umano financier guarantor ng Pharmally ay si Mr. Michael Yang, na dating Presidential Economic Advisor, ay lahat kami siguro ay nag-iisip, ano yung papel ni Presidente dito at anong accountability nila. So baka yun yung isang paglilinaw na hahanapin ng ilang mga kasama namin kay Chair bago nila i-consider pirmahan yung committee report. Kung kukumpleto pa yan over the adjournment during the campaign at pag-resume namin kahit 2 linggo lamang ay posibleng ma-adapt pa rin ito ng Senado.
The committee has yet to announce when will the final version of the report to be released. Jorlene Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, estimates that 100,000 to 200,000 employees would return to work in areas under Alert Level 2. Eileen Cerudo will tell us why live. Yes, Eileen, good evening. Go ahead.
Good evening, William. Establishments in areas under Alert Level 2 expand their operating capacity to 50% in indoor establishments and 70% in outdoor establishments. This is also amid the increased venue capacity as restriction eases. DTI Undersecretary Ruth Castello said this will help in the country's economic recovery amid the challenges brought by the COVID-19 pandemic.
According to DTI estimates, we have around 100 to 200,000 jobs na makakabalik. According to NEDA estimates naman, this is around 16,000 jobs weekly na makakabalik under Alert Level 2.
However, the department still does not recommend the shift to Alert Level 1 despite the lowering of cases. Yusek Castello explains the threat of COVID-19 is still present.
Kailangan rin nating iayos yung mindset naman din ng publiko na porke hindi kasi ibig sabihin na bumaba alert level system natin or tanggalin na siya totally ay wala na tayong kailangan pag-ingatan na COVID virus. So sa DTI, USEC, dahan-dahan lang until masanay na tayo at ma-accept natin na ang new normal natin ay yung kasama na yung mga health protocols.
The DTI, meanwhile, agrees with requiring booster dose cards in establishments. However, it clarifies that it should not bring discrimination.
Para sa DTI, kasi this is going to be proof also na vaccinated na yung mga tao at kung boosted sila, yung kanilang additional dose para sa additional protection is also good proof para sa mga businesses at para sa ating lahat, for the economy na rin. Kaya lang, we have to also consider yung mga hindi nagpapabakuna for medical reasons or yung mga ibang mentality rin or ibang mindsets.
Alert Level 2 is placed in the National Capital Region and other areas until February 15. Meanwhile, the DTI is also preparing for the influx of foreign investors after the Interagency Task Force allowed the entry of fully vaccinated foreign travelers. William?
Yes, thank you, Eileen Cerudo, live from Taytay, Rizal.
Independent Pandemic Monitoring OCTA research team observed a downward trend of COVID-19 cases in the country. OCTA research group said Omicron surge is about to end in the country. However, health experts said it is not yet time to de-escalate the country to Alert Level 1. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
OCTA research fellow Professor Guido David says the Philippines is already experiencing a downward trend of COVID-19 cases. OCTA expects COVID-19 cases to drop below 5,000 tomorrow and on Wednesday. This is good news according to Professor David, as they are also hopeful that Omicron surge is close to end.
But overall, I don't see any area na that's still on an upward trend. Everything's now going downward. Of course, hindi ko naman sinasabing tapos na sa NCR. We're just saying na it's we're getting closer to the to the tail end of the Omicron wave. So we're still at around 1,000, I think 1,600 or 1,700 cases per day ping 7-day average natin sa NCR.
However, Professor David also reminded the public to not be too complacent because Omicron and even Delta are still existing. OCTA also has a new projection that COVID-19 cases may be down to 1,000 to 2,000 a day by end of the month. This is lower than the first projected 5,000 cases by end of the month.
Before, we were not sure about the trends in the other provinces kasi clear naman sa NCR na it's decreasing, but we were still unsure about how quickly the surge would last in other provinces outside NCR+. Pero right now, ang nakikita natin, pababa na sa lahat ng provinces. The trend will be sustained. And tsaka yung dating 5,000, it was just an estimate. Medyo upper bound siya, medyo overestimate siya. We're expecting by next week, baka nasa 4,000 to 5,000. And then by end of the month, nasa 1,000 to 2,000 lang. It could even be less than 1,000.
However, even if COVID-19 cases are now on downward trend, health experts can still recommend to de-escalate the alert level to 1.
We're not yet off the pandemic, no? We're still in the pandemic period. We still need to stay in the alert level 2, no? It's too early, and I think it's too drastic to change to a lower alert level like 1, no? Tingnan muna natin in the next 2 weeks kung medyo maganda ang palo ng mga kaso natin.
Private Hospitals Association of the Philippines Incorporated, or PHAPI President Dr. Jose Rene de Grano also said hospital admissions are low, but COVID-19 cases should be back to at least hundreds, similar to the recorded case trend during the pre-Omicron surge.
Try ko wag muna, let's wait for another 2 weeks before i-lower natin sa mga level 1. Kung kailangan natin mag-level 1. Kung talaga ma-attain natin yung ganun, and then ang ating positivity rate, let's say, talaga mas bumaba pa. Right now, it's still 20 plus, diba? Ibig sabihin, 1 out of 5, medyo nagpa-positive pa rin. Talagang malakas ang ng Omicron, it's very highly transmissible.
The government currently uses metrics such as healthcare utilization rate, 2-week growth rate of cases, average daily attack rate, and vaccination coverage. The government also recently added the availability of healthcare workers as a new metrics on deciding the alert level in an area. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And the Department of Health said 1,569 new cases of the more transmissible Omicron variant were documented in the latest genome sequencing of 1,680 samples. Of these, 72 cases were active cases, 4 were deaths, and 1,403 were recoveries. The remaining 90 cases were still being verified. The total count of Omicron cases in the country is 2,722. Today, the Philippines recorded 6,835 new cases of novel coronavirus disease or COVID-19, pushing the nationwide case count to 3,616,387. Of that total number of cases, 3.2% or 116,720 are active cases. The DOH said that about 95.7% of the cases are mild and asymptomatic. Among the active cases, 103,900 are mild, 7,806 are asymptomatic, 3,184 are moderate, 1,495 are severe, while 335 are in critical condition. The DOH also reported 16,330 new recoveries, bringing the total number of recoveries to 3,445,129 or 95.3% of the total cases, while 12 new deaths from COVID-19 were recorded, bringing the death toll to 54,538 or 1.51% of that total number.
Health Secretary Francisco Duque III clarified that parental consent cannot be replaced when it comes to vaccinating children ages 5 to 11. JP Nunez will give us the details live. JP, go ahead.
Diego, good evening. Secretary Francisco Duque III tasked the DOH last week to remove a provision under the Department of Health's Department Memorandum number 2022-0041 dated January 24, 2022. The DOH memorandum states that in case the parent or guardian refuses to give consent to the vaccination despite the desire and willingness of the minor or child to have himself or herself vaccinated, or there are no persons that may legally exercise parental authority over the child, the state may act as parens patrias or parent of the country and give the necessary consent. Secretary Duque explains that there was a misunderstanding on the controversial policy.
Inatasan ko na ang DOH last week na tanggalin yan, rider provision na yan, because unang-una, ang parental consent hindi mo pwedeng i-replace. Okay? I-replace mo under extraordinary circumstances kung wala yung magulang, wala yung guardian, yung designated authorized guardian, then only then can the state represent the interest of the child. Pero under normal circumstances, hindi pwede. So, hindi po pwedeng Estado ang magbibigay ng pahintulot kung pwede bang bakunahan o hindi ang mga bata edad 5 to 11, or in fact, even from 12 to 17, and also for 4 years or below. So, parental consent is absolute.
Two parents filed a petition on February 3 before the Quezon City Regional Trial Court to stop the government's COVID-19 vaccine drive for kids aged 5 to 11. They claim that the vaccination is risky and accuse the government of using excessive authority to impose the vaccination rollout. However, the Department of the Interior and Local Government under Secretary Jonathan Malaya emphasized that parents will still decide for the vaccination of their children.
Hindi po namin tinatanggal sa magulang yung kanilang karapatang magdesisyon para sa kanilang mga batang anak. Kaya nga po, kailangan po merong consent na pipirmahan ang magulang or guardian bago magpabakuna. So, paano po sasabihin that the government does not respect the parents' authority over their children? The consent is definitely required. Kahit po ginagalang namin ang petisyon laban sa rollout of the 5 to 11 vaccination, while we respect it, we believe it has no basis, and therefore there is no need to stop the vaccination of our children.
Meanwhile, children ages 5 to 11 accompanied by their parents piled up to vaccination sites today as the government launches pediatric vaccination for their age group. Parents hope that the vaccination will be the key for their children to get back to their normal activities before pandemic.
From the start naman talaga gusto ko sila i-vaccine. Agam-agam siguro yung yung magiging side effect na lagnat kasi ayaw talaga nila nilalagnat sila. Gusto ko talaga sila from the start na mabakunahan. Kami, lumalabas kami, sila nga hindi, pero kami prone kami. At least sila, may protection na rin. Hindi na rin kami ganun masyadong matakot na baka maging severe sila.
Leukemia patient siya since 2018. Diagnosed siya ng ALL. Then since aware ako na kailangan kong i-boost yung immune system niya sa COVID, kaya decided talaga benefit yon para sa kanila na dahil immunocompromised siya. So mas maganda na gagawa siya ng sarili niyang antibody out dun sa vaccine. Kung meron mang virus na pumasok sa katawan niya, may panlaban na siya.
Diego, the national government aims to vaccinate at least 15 million 5 to 11-year-old children. That is our latest live. Back to you, Diego.
Thank you, JP Nunez, for that live report.
Schools in Western Visayas are ready to implement face-to-face classes once the region de-escalate to a lower alert level. Lalaine Moreno reports.
Western Visayas will remain under Alert Level 3 until February 15. Under the Alert Level 3, face-to-face classes are prohibited. Classes in 20 schools included in the pilot implementation of in-person classes that began last November 2021 is temporarily suspended. In the meantime, schools use modules and online classes. Aside from 20 schools, the Department of Education 6 will expand face-to-face classes to 80 schools once the region de-escalate to Alert Level 1 or 2.
So no need na for reassessment because na naubra na ini prior sa declaration ng Alert Level 3. So ang boundary sa mga eskwelahan is that they will just coordinate with the local government unit and the parents for reconfirmation of the previously issued concurrence and parents' consent.
Of the 80 schools, 60 are from Negros Occidental, 9 in Antique, 4 from Aklan, 5 in Iloilo Province, and 1 in both Guimaras and Capiz. These schools must comply with the School Safety and Assessment Tool or SSAT, acquired parent consent, coordinated with their LGU, and COVID-19 cases must be lowered. Food baths, hand-washing area, social distancing marks, thermometer triage area, plastic barriers, and well-ventilated rooms are also required. All teaching personnel participating in face-to-face should be vaccinated. Meanwhile, out of 84,518 teachers in the region, 76,765 or 90.81% are fully vaccinated. The remaining 7,763 unvaccinated are pregnant women and those with comorbidities. Lelaine Moreno, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Department of the Interior and Local Government reports that 12 out of the 17 regions in the country have submitted their list of individuals still unvaccinated against COVID-19. DILG Secretary Eduardo Años said this would provide the government enough information on which area to focus on in its COVID-19 vaccination program. Secretary Años disclosed most of the areas on the list with low vaccination rate are in the far-flung areas. He also added that the government will provide assistance, including additional volunteers, and will deliver more COVID-19 vaccine. The government targets to vaccinate around 2 million individuals with first dose of COVID-19 vaccine and 4 million for booster shots during the Bayanihan Bakunahan 3 on February 10 and 11.
Some EDSA bus drivers complain of non-receipt of payout from service rendered under service contracting program of the government. The Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board, on the other hand, affirms to assist the drivers to resolve the issue. Asher Cadapan Jr. will give us the details live. Yes, Asher.
Arlene, it is essential that the Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board provide supporting document as some EDSA busway drivers raise their complaints against their bus operator in the Department of Labor and Employment. The Alliance of General Unions, Institutions and Labor Associations, or AGILA, explains this as the LTFRB refers concerned EDSA bus drivers to DOLE due to delays in their payout from respective operators.
Pag nandun po kami sa DOLE, wala po silang magawa kundi hintayin din po ang inyong tanggapan para sabihin na pwede namin pag-usapan kung ano pa yung hindi nababayaran. Tanungin po natin yung ES Consortium. Hindi rin nila mabigay sa amin kung magkano ba talaga ang babayaran nila kasi ang tanong lang, bakit kami walang sahod? At hindi kami mabayaran nung dapat para sa amin.
The group has been complaining of delays in their payout from service rendered under service contracting program since May 2021, which amounts to a total of about 20 million pesos. As they feel they have been running around in circles and raising their concerns to different government agencies, the group protested in front of the LTFRB's central office in Quezon City today. The agency, on their part, says they will communicate with the group of drivers and assist them in providing the information.
kailangan lang siguro natin ng formal request. And then, for sure, Sir Antonio, we will facilitate po kung ano po yung kailangan niyo. If there is a need, no, na makipag-usap with LTFRB, and with ES and yung sa grupo nyo, we will facilitate that po.
Meanwhile, EDSA busway consortiums say they will continue to cooperate with the government, agencies, and concerned bus drivers to resolve the issue. Harleen?
Thank you, Asher Kadapan Jr. reporting live from Quezon City.
And for the news abroad, many athletes have now come forward to address the difficulties they face amidst extremely cold climates and COVID-19 situations in Beijing's Winter Olympic Games. Joselito Liquido will tell us the details live. Yes, Joselito, good evening.
Good evening, Marielle. According to the International Ski Federation, or FIS, if temperatures are below -20 degrees centigrade, the competition is to be stopped. However, temperatures were hitting -13 degrees centigrade, which was even colder with wind chills. Due to this, Swedish athlete Frida Karlsson was near collapsing after her 7.5 plus 7 kilometer skiathlon. Athletes who tested positive for COVID-19 experienced questionable treatment, with Polish athlete Natalia Maliszewska re-entering quarantine after COVID-19 test mistakes, and Finnish ice hockey player Marko Anttila remaining in isolation for no reason, Finnish Dr. Marit Voltinen says. Meanwhile, Valeria Vesnetsova shared her experiences in the quarantine hotel, stating that no substantial food was provided. As such, she experiences pains in her body. German coach Christian Schweiger added to that by explaining the lack of hot meals to the Olympic Committee's catering services offered for the cold climate, only providing snacks to the Olympic athletes, and in his words, were not catering at all. Athletes and coaches are now calling for events to be held earlier and criticizing the COVID-19 health protocols set in place. Marielle?
Thank you, Joselito Liquido reporting live from Malaysia. Horrific fires are raging through the state of Western Australia, destroying homes and threatening communities. Marvin Finn will give us the details live. Go ahead, Marvy.
Marielle, interstate firefighters have been deployed to Western Australia since Sunday to assist in containing the deadly blaze, which was estimated to have burned through 60,000 hectares of land. Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Fire and Emergency Services in Western Australia, Craig Waters, provided an update on the extreme conditions faced by firefighters.
We're dealing with three level 3 fires at this time, which is unprecedented across the state, and we've also got around 500 firefighters actively fighting the fire as we speak today. These fires are stretched from the central wheatbelt area all the way down to the Great Southern in Denmark. We've already seen significant damage, and our thoughts and prayers go out to those people that have actually lost property in these devastating fires.
A fire blazing near Bruce Rock in the Wheatbelt area has been categorized as emergency level and is expanding to the town of Corrigan. Schools have been closed and authorities warn residents that it is too late to leave now and advise them to take shelter in their homes, away from the fire front and with an escape route. According to Department of Fire and Emergency Services Commissioner Darren Clem, while 80% of the fire is tracked, the northeast corner still presents problems due to the changing weather and winds. Fire crews from Kimberley and Pilbara and specialist incident management teams from New South Wales will be providing the state with resources and will assist with the firefighting efforts. Marielle?
Thank you, Marvin Finn, reporting live from Western Australia. The U.S. health officials are considering an 8-week time interval between Moderna and Pfizer vaccine shots, specifically for immunocompromised people. Ruth Bahe tells us why live. Yes, Ruth, go ahead.
Mariel, the Centers for Disease Control is proposing new vaccine guidance that would lengthen the amount of time between doses in order to lower risk of heart inflammation. Extended interval between Moderna and Pfizer shots, such an 8-week gap, appears to reduce the risk of myocarditis, according to Dr. Sarah Oliver. This proposed change is for immunocompromised people who generally don't respond to vaccines very well. CDC guidance suggests 4 vaccine jobs. 3 shots should be within 2 months, and the 4th dose should be around 5 months after the 3rd shot. This update would apply to people aged 12 and up who receive Pfizer and ages 18 and up who receive Moderna and Johnson & Johnson. Marielle?
Thank you, Ruth Bahe, reporting live from Vietnam. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Mariela Toza, reporting live from Perth, Australia. Good evening.
And for the first time since its inception, Wish Music Awards nominees were not able to come together physically for the annual celebration of original Filipino music, or OPM. But it was still a night to remember, not only for the artists but also for their chosen beneficiaries. Mirasol Abogadil tells us why.
2 weeks after it was initially postponed, Wish 1075 was finally able to treat the wishers to another night of music and celebration of world-class Filipino talent through the 7th Wish Music Awards last night. It was done virtually, with the nominees connected via video communication platforms to make sure that everybody was safe from the COVID-19 virus. But although the situation around the country was dire, it did not dampen the mood or the spirit of the performers, who still gave their 110%. And like last year, Filipino groups dominated the 2022 Wish Music Awards, with P-pop group SB19 bagging 4 major awards and 1 special award, while pop rock band The Ones and folk pop rock band Ben and Ben got 2 major awards each. Singer-songwriter Moira De La Torre was named 2022 WMA's Artist of the Year.
Maraming salamat po for this amazing recognition. I promise you I will take this to heart and I will never forget this moment.
Another seasoned composer and hitmaker was chosen as this year's KDR Icon of Musical Excellence. He is Louis Ocampo, the man behind the hits Ewan and You Are My Song. According to Maestro Louis, it is heartwarming for his works to be recognized by a platform that has uplifted and sustained OPM.
Indeed, these are fast and changing times, and yet because of you, OPM will live in our hearts forever.
Premier violinist Chino Alfonso Soberano, meanwhile, was named as this year's KDR Icon of Music and Philanthropy. Soberano conducted free master classes and lectures for young violinists in the Philippines during the pandemic, while also pursuing a doctoral degree in violin performance at the Arizona State University in the US.
Noong ginawa ko po yung proyekto ko po, hindi ko po hinangad. Maraming salamat po sa award kasi matutuloy ko po yung advocacy ko pong accessibility of quality music education sa mga kababata nating mga violinista. Ipagpapatuloy ko po talaga ito.
Especially in these uncertain times, the WMAs continue to be a premier avenue where music and charity unite. Wish 1075 doled out a total of 2,445,000 pesos to the winning artists and their chosen beneficiaries. 100,000 pesos was awarded to the charitable groups, while 25,000 pesos was given to the winner. BMPI Chief Executive Officer and innovator behind Wish 1075, Kuya Daniel Razon, expressed his gratitude to the artists for continuously creating masterpieces and promised that the station will continue its endeavor of making OPM known to the world.
We at Wish 1075 see you and your hard work. We hear you and your music. And we are all proud of you and your works of art. You inspire us to be better at what we do. You motivate us to achieve greater heights. And you remind us to always pause for a moment, take a step back, and assess our intentions and priorities. And for these and more, we are truly grateful to all of you, our hardworking OPM artists.
Mirasol Abogadil, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 9, verse 17. It says, "The words of wise men are heard in quiet, more than the cry of him that ruleth among fools." And those are the reasons behind the news, February 7, 2022. I am Herlene Delgado.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Angelo Castro III.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.